Welcome back. I haven't done a video like this for a long time. I've done instructions for Nempnet Nupwell's improved circuit. I've done all sorts of other things. But during the meanwhile, last month I suppose it must be, I have just been making more and more Nempnet Thrubwells and Chronographs. And I now have a nice collection of Nempnet Thrubwell kits, which I'm very pleased about because they seem to be very popular, which is thrilling. It's always so special when people like buying and making the things that I've designed. It's very special. And there's even some more up there on my lovely shelf. Right, so chronographs then. The basic kit, and the basic one that comes ready made, hangs on a wall. But some time ago I thought it'd be nice to offer it as a mantel clock, so it comes with a nice stand. But obviously, a stand, you say? Steamhead? A simple stand? No. I've worked out, sort of by trial and error, like you have to do with costings and things, probably about £25 for the stand. And this is what it is comprised of, consists of. And I've fiddled around, and 2 pieces of doweling, dowel, and it looks lovely. And look at that lovely red felt base collecting dust as we speak. So that's the idea, and the lovely little twiddly bits here. But it's a little bit too big to fit in the kit box, and also it takes me far more time and effort and trouble and materials than £25 worth. So I've got to come up with something more simple and slightly smaller. So that's my job for this morning, dear friends. Now, this is the piece of wood, the size of wood that I use for the end blocks on the Nempnet Thrubwell and the heraldic clarion. Here's one I prepared earlier. I cut them down to the right width, drill them out where necessary, drill the little pilot holes right in, very messily, and a pencil on one side, and Bob's your uncle. So this time I thought I've got lots of this wood now. Finally was sensible enough to order loads of it. And I thought, why have to get another type of piece of wood, the thickness and there when I've got this sitting around? And I thought, because I've been routing around the edges of this, which takes a long time to set up, makes a hell of a lot of noise and tons of dust, and takes, as I say, takes a long time to actually do. So I'm going to get away with that. If you notice with the chronograph, I got the twiddly bits I wanted by using 3 sheets of this ply. You'll probably see more clearly from the back, glued together. So I thought I'd go with that idea here. So I've been developing it. Now we have a beautiful laser cut piece of red felt with holes that will act as a countersink, constantly trying to think of ways of saving time, because it really does add up. Then I've got this next piece of that wood, which has got a 4mm gap round it, which I can't set up properly because I'm working one-handedly. Then there's another bit which goes on top, again with a slight recess, so that looks lovely. And that's already got 2 holes cut for the dowel, and then 2 of these twiddly bits. And that's it, and I think that looks really nice. Well, I thought it looked really nice, except this top bit, which was a 2mm rebate, needed to be bigger, so I've just gone ahead, redesigned that, and I'm going to cut that out again. If it's not right, it won't do. It's the curse, the bane of my life. I can't just say, that'll do. Gotta get it perfect. Job satisfaction guaranteed, service with a smile. And then I also cut out a template which fits over here so I can mark the 2 holes. I will go and cut another version of this. I'm also cheating a bit because I need to make instructions, step-by-step instructions on how to assemble the kit version of this one. And I found I had a piece that was ready stained, although don't tell anyone. So I can take the photos and say, oh look, it's laser cut, you start like this, get it all together, and then say, right, we're going to stain it, and suddenly, boom, as if by magic, it's all stained with more dust on it. So I will get back to you shortly. I can't stop talking now I've started making a video. How exciting. Freezer, computer, mess. Look at this, it's appalling. It sits there, my cutting instructions, and people take things out of the freezer, like ice creams and frozen peas and things, and use this as a rest. How disgraceful. I'm going to have stern words. In fact, I'd love to be able to find somewhere else for the freezer to go, because that would free up a lovely large area for more stuff. But anyway, there's the new design. I just tried to correct it, and then this lovely old computer, Windows, oh, it's not even XP, I think it's XP, it crashed, which it regularly does. It's a shame, but let's keep it going. Bless its cotton socks. Oh, it's been going for a very long time. There's the new bit. I will now send that through to the laser cutter and cut it out. And because this is the first video after a long time, I'm going to have a little bit of laser porn, or whatever you want to call it. There's the felt. Felt cuts absolutely beautifully. I can't tell you what a joy it is to cut fabric, because it also melts the edges slightly, so it's not all fluffy. Right, have I got enough of this? It's using an offcut. No, I haven't. Right, I'll get this started and get back to you. This is laser cutting ply, which is fantastic because it doesn't get sooty edges. It cuts beautifully. It's made very consistently, so you don't end up being able to cut some bits and then suddenly coming across really tough bits, not usually. But the main problem with it, and I understand it's a fairly typical thing, is it warps. It's really badly warped. Well, not really badly, but it means that every time I cut any of this, I have to put some masking tape around several places where it's buying up, and a big washer in the middle to keep it all level in the centre, which I have now done. I thank you. It's useful to remember that the red light you can see, the laser, isn't the actual cutting one. It's a titular little one that's mounted just here that shines down so you can line it up, show you roughly where it's going to cut. The big laser, the 60-watt one, is sitting along the back of the machine in there with a mirror at that corner, comes out through a small hole there, can't see it, bounces off another mirror here, which is one that moves backwards and forwards with the rest of it, bounces along here, to cut a long story short, goes in through the hole, mirror in there, lens down there. That's what actually cuts it, and that's an infrared one, so you can't see it. So here's the original one in the peaceful quietness of the lovely, quiet, safe workshop away from the outside world. More locked, well, it's not locked down, but I have to say, very happy and safe and warm and cosy in here, venturing out and meeting other people. Although I really do miss the steampunk events. They were such fun. I must get back into that when hopefully the pandemic is brought properly under control. So it's a bit unnerving being in an enclosed building talking to hundreds of people. Just a little bit risky for me, I think. There we are. So now we've got an equal gap around the top and the bottom. I think that looks much nicer. That's brilliant. Worth spending a load more time and effort on. Here's the dowel, 15mm. I found a good supplier this morning online, so that should fit in there. Right, I'll get holes drilled and all the rest of it, get it together, and I'll get back to you. Now for doweling. I'll cut it to the right length. Drilled a little hole in the top for a short screw that's going to act on the keyhole fixings. Now to put a pilot hole in the bottom. Pilot holes are brilliant, especially with kids, because if you just assume someone can screw a screw up into the middle of some beach dowel, it's going to cause all sorts of issues and be really tricky and fiddly. It would be the easier option, but obviously easy doesn't come into it. I'm not going to tighten it too tight because I don't want to crush the different bits of grain. So I'm trying to say grain. Right, bring that up 3mm, because the screws I'm going to use, the wood screws, are 4mm, so just enough to get it started, and I've got the teeth will then do the rest of it. Health and safety, lovely. And that should be perfectly in the centre. how exciting. I've got all the bits made. You know, keeping a track of the different dimensions, screw sizes and everything else as an aide-memoire. So I have so many different projects on the go that it's not the paper's this size, because when I print out the postage labels, they just print it down one side of an A4 sheet, which is annoying. And I can't bear to, it's just such a waste. I can't bear to waste paper, so I use all the offcuts, which is handy, although I do like an A4 piece. I've checked on what my instructions were like for the rest of the chronograph clock kit, and it's photographs, which I realise I tend to stick to now, because if you take a photograph you can pose it and just get it really clear, all the salient details in shot, focused correctly. You can use both hands by putting it on the 10-second timer, and you end up with a load of stills, and then you can pan, zoom when you edit the video instructions together and write the voiceover. And people have said that it's a really nice, clear, easy, succinct way to understand how to put things together. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll get on with it and I'll get back to you. It's a few days later and my box collection is growing exponentially. I just can't bear to throw them out. But what have I been doing? Well, I was running out of these ready-made gauges, the motorised ones that look like that inside. Quite why that hasn't got a front on, I'm not sure. And I've shown videos of all that, so I haven't bored you more than normal with that again. I've only got a few kits left, so I'll start. That's what the 3D printer, zoink, boing, is doing in the background. It's printing some more of the kit versions, which I'm not going to assemble. So that's that. In addition, moving on, the chronograph clock kit with the mantel option I have designed, as I think probably at the start of this video, although I'm forgetting what I have been doing and what I haven't, losing plot completely, but I've got 5 of these made up, so that's good. Also, funnily enough, I remember a couple of videos ago mentioning these with the clock kits, because you have one sitting that's painted up the side because they just look lovely, and as I've said before, a group of youths sitting in the road outside our house obviously had a big session of inhalation of nitrous oxide one night and left a lovely selection of about 30. A state they must have been in, I dread to think. But that's what made me think, why not use these? Thing is though, dear friends, when I tried to send one of these with the clock kit, the chronograph clock kit, it was returned to me because the x-rays, I'd assume the x-rays, had shown this cylinder, and it can't really be mistaken for anything else. You see that on an x-ray and you think, gas cylinder, not allowed, prohibited, can't do that, can't do this. Open the box, take it out, not notice there's a hole in the end and it's empty, and in fact a bigger hole because I've drilled them out so a rod goes in it, but you know, brain failure, let's send it all back. So what I'm doing now, to cut a very long story long, is I've got a label saying, please note, this has been drilled out, it is not therefore a prohibited item, cannot contain pressurised gas. And in addition to that, I wrap it in about 3 or 4 layers of tinfoil, nice little envelope that's rectangular in shape, so when the x-rays go through it, hopefully they don't worry about it. Fingers crossed. So far, so good. Right, now, what I've started to do, this is more interesting, well, it's for me anyway. Gauges is a small one that I prepared earlier. Well, in fact, it goes that way up, doesn't it, for the crack and thing, and they're lovely. I have to say, they do look really nice when they're fixed onto inventions, people's inventions. So that's 37mm diameter or something. Here's one that I haven't glued the lens in, but that's 50mm diameter. Up until this point, because my brain is a muscle, I was making these out of transparent acrylic. I was cutting and engraving and cutting these front parts, the nice little decorative line round and 3 engraved screws, which really do look like little brass screws. And then I was gluing that onto a transparent base, another disc, and well, that was like that. This is what I'm building up to, the huge reveal. It's like that, which you can't focus, with an engraved line to stop any glue seeping around the outside. Then I'd glue the front onto the back, like so, in the process probably ruining about half of them with glue squeezing out everywhere. But anyway, with the lovely little jig such as that, you see, perfect jig, line it up, put the glue on, it sticks. Then painting it all with a disc of card on the inside to stop any paint going on this bit, because that's where I wanted the glue to adhere to the lens properly. And then having done all that, turning them all over when they were dry and spraying the backs. How ridiculous, because by the very nature of these things, you want to stick them onto something. I've sold hundreds of them, I think, and I don't suppose one single person has not glued the back and doesn't care about what the back looks like. So, back to what I was talking about here. I've bought some black acrylic. How exciting. That means that I can glue transparent bit, and because black's more expensive and I'm always trying to keep costs down, on average I worked out recently that everything, all the paint, the equipment, the materials, components, screws, everything has gone up by an average of 13% in the last year. Crazy. People who like steampunk have a very, very obviously good sense of aesthetic awareness and all that, but not necessarily unduly wealthy. So the problem is, I've got to try and keep all these potentially very expensive things as cheap as I possibly can. Value for money and all that. So I'm trying to find quicker and better and more efficient ways to use the materials I've got. Hence the fact I'm doing this, because that will save me half the spray paint for the backs of these. It'll leave you with a nice back that can be stuck onto some sort of surface, and it will be a joy. If nothing else, it'll make me really happy that I can just spray one side and not worry about the back. As you've seen from previous videos, little bits of dust and stuff inevitably, I don't know how, because I'm so careful with hoovering and filtering, they inevitably get stuck on about a third of these. So then after I've sprayed them, I have to take them all out and then sand with wet and dry all the bits off and then repaint them. It just goes on and on. It does become a little bit soul destroying. Now, don't have to worry about that. I can still clean off the third that I ruin on the front, but never mind, I mustn't grumble. It's the way forward. So what I'm going to do now is stop talking, boring you to death, and I'm going to start gluing all these together, small versions and the large versions. Because I've nearly run out. In fact, I've got 2 ready-made ones left, 3 ready-made ones left, 4 ready-made ones left. Yep, and I've just bought about 100, in fact it is 100 more lenses, the large ones and the small glass lenses. So, exciting stuff. On that note, I'll get on with it. The next day, and they've come out a treat. Look, they're beautiful. And there's the piece of card, so take that out of the way. So there's the plain bit, so the glue sticks properly to hold the lens in. Look, shiny. Best thing is, I don't have to do anything with the back. It's fantastic. I only have to paint half as many bits. I'm so pleased with that. I forgot to mention why I chose black, and again I'm not quite sure on my logic here, but the idea was that if it was transparent and you turned it over, you'd be able to see where I'd stuck the lens on. Now the fact is that I've decided that the back isn't important. Yes, it's been a long day. Anyhow, I'm very pleased with that. I'll get them all packaged up. I don't think there are many errors. Let's try and find a faulty one. And it's a joy that I'm having a problem finding a faulty one. Well, I'll show you what I mean by faulty one. Here's an old one that I rejected, and as you can see, there's a blemish. Disgraceful, disgusting, destroy it. Or indeed get some wet and dry, smooth it off and repaint it. Now, I'm absolutely thrilled that seemingly using this black acrylic has meant that I'm not going to be doing lots of that, which is great. Thank you very much. I must stop talking. Oh, I can't control myself. Talk about verbal diarrhea. Damn it, Janet. I spoke too soon. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 13. Unlucky for some. 13 didn't pass muster. So I've sanded off little offending items and I'm going to spray that up. So I made 60, 13, I don't know where the percentage that is. Anywho, I'll get them finished. hope to see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. I must stop this video. Next time I'm hoping to get on with the hideous reciprocating chronometer. Round 10 or whatever it is. Year 4.5. Slowly getting there. Not yet though. Look what I've just found. I've just found the first model of it. Oh, the innocence of youth. The innocence of starting this project, thinking, oh, this is going to be fun. Look, things still practically with the same principle exactly. It's just I could never get all this to work properly. But I'm slowly getting there. Slowly and very unsurely. So, I'm going to get on with that next time. And of course, this time I'm going to be working out how to put these lovely little glass test tubes on the side, some sort of gradated scale on, and the counterweight over to one side. Because if you remember, I did some market research and asked your good opinions about where this counterweight should go, and overall it was decided it should go on the right hand side, off to one side, so that'll look lovely, and I completely agree about that. But obviously it's an excuse to further complicate it.